Our next guest is somebody who was also on the first season of this Toxic Parent Recovery Summit. And I brought her back on because she's so extraordinary. She's a world-class expert when it comes to healing from narcissistic abuse. She's been through it from all directions, married, has a narcissistic parents, and then she also is dealing with people in the next generation. So narcissistic family systems is her realm. And I brought her on this time because we're going to be talking about really losing who you are or never really knowing who you are, which is something I see all the time with people who've been through narcissistic abuse. You're separated from yourself intentionally by that narcissistic parent, because when that happens, you're easier to control. So, having said all of that, let's bring on Tracy Malone. She's an author, a speaker, an educator, and international narcissistic abuse divorce coach. She's a thriver of abuse herself and the founder of narcissisticabuse.support.com. Now, Tracy's best-selling book, Divorcing a Narcissist, You Can't Make This Shit Up, as well as 32 healing journals, 32. Tracy has a popular YouTube channel and podcast and has reached millions of survivors. International narcissistic abuse expert, coach, educator, and speaker. Let's welcome Tracy Malone. Welcome, Tracy. It is so good to have you on again.
Thank you so much for having me again. I'm so honored to be here.
You're welcome. You're such a wealth of knowledge. I mean, you really are one of the leading experts in the world today on narcissistic abuse. And I know it's weird to hear that, right?
It's
But
like,
when
what?
you think about the body of work you have, which is enormous, but it's coming from all these experiences. And as I said in the introduction, it's the whole narcissistic family system. So you're looking at parents, you're looking at former spouses, you're looking at now children, grown children that are becoming adult children, watching this go down through the generations. And I love that you chose this topic of who am I? Because we struggle with that so much when we grow up as narcissistically abused people, ACONs, adult children of narcissists. We really struggle with, who am I? Why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? The big questions, of course.
Because
So
your parents usually didn't give you that strength. It was always the bad person, or then you didn't make it. You're just not. You could never achieve it because you were always trying to achieve the parent's goal of who they wanted you to be versus who you are.
yeah, and the trap was that you could never achieve that goal.
Mhm. Exactly.
So they kept moving the mark more and more and more.
Mhm.
Yeah. So what that does to us psychologically. So what are the first steps to finding yourself again?
Well, I think there's who we were, right? Because that comes into an equation. And I had narc parents, and I was taught that who I was what I did. And so
Yeah.
I adopted and strived to further and get higher, no matter what the ladder I was climbing was, because it was to achieve my parents' goal, you know. But if I look at who I was, I get to pick what parts I want to bring into today, right? If I look at it when I was a 20-year-old, I had a Camaro with the license plate Wild One, okay? Just let's say that for the start. But then I was a Boy Scout leader, and I was a wedding cake maker and a business owner and a mother. And, there's so much there. And I could say I'm an international coach and I'm a blah and an author and all this stuff now. But that, contrary to what my parents taught me, is not who I am. And it's not who I was. It's stuff I did that got me to this place. But what I want to look at and define is not what I've done and what I've accomplished, but really who I want to be, and
Yeah.
what parts do I want to leave? What parts don't I need anymore? But to get there, you also have to really look at the darker parts,
Yeah.
right?
So
And
true.
that is your parents. You have to evaluate what you heard, what you absorbed, what old recordings you have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not good enough, smart enough, skinny enough, whatever the bar was that was always moving. You
Yeah.
have to not let yourself be defined by those recordings. So that's some of
Mm-hmm.
the stuff. I had a narc divorce as well. That doesn't define me. It was something I went through. And yes, it's a chapter in my life that I wrote an entire book on. But
Yeah.
at the same time, that still, if I'm looking really for letting go of those old beliefs,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
ones am I holding right now? Am I
Yeah.
holding not good enough? Am I holding imposter syndrome? Will
Yeah.
I ever feel that I know who Tracy is? So until you look at the dark sides, you're
Yeah.
going for the poly purebred of finding yourself. And you have to tackle the dark stuff because that's what
Hmm.
comes in, creeps around your legs every time
Yeah.
you want to be something else. That I'm not good enough. I'll never, that comes in
Yeah.
and it sabotages wherever you are.
And the belief piece, I think often you don't really quite know what you believe because your beliefs were all installed by your narcissistic parent, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And so, but you can start to feel like that belief doesn't really resonate with me. That's not right. And this is a really important part of the process. It's like, what do I believe?
Believe it. And again, why do I believe it? So it's looking at the historical piece of, oh
Hmm.
yeah, that's what they told me. Oh, one of the last things my father said to me was when I was writing my book and he was about to die, he's like, "You're writing a book?" Now you know I'd been writing it for 3 years, but oh, you're writing a book? Who the hell would read that? You never even wrote a term paper.
Yep.
Those things that stick to you have to be thought through. Well, he was wrong.
Yeah.
That's my concrete there. I have a bestseller for 2 years now. He was wrong. Why am I holding on to that belief that was pushed upon me? That doesn't
Right.
serve me. So now, understanding that, I can put that down. I
Right.
can demystify it. If I don't look at the historical role of one of these beliefs,
Hmm.
I'm only looking at half the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And that belief, that I'm incapable, because that's something I see all the time with my clients. It is so ingrained in us. I don't have the capabilities to do this thing. And you even have the proof sitting in front of you, and you're still, oh, wait a minute. And you're still questioning yourself in the face of that narcissistic parent. But you get
So
to a place where it's not all it anymore.
and again, it's challenging yourself to look at that belief and
Yeah.
ask yourself, is that true? Why am I still holding it? Right? It's a choice to let go of that internal dialogue, if you would. If you
Hmm.
can't let go of them, they're going to keep creeping back in every time you want to take a step forward.
Yeah. So you do definitely have to do the inner work, the self-examination and all of that. So what are the risks of not knowing who you are?
Well, you lose yourself, and you can easily give yourself to someone else if you don't have everything defined. Did you ever watch the movie Runaway Bride with Julia Roberts?
Oh yeah, that was so telling. You know?
So for those of the people who are listening who haven't ever watched it, basically the premise of the movie is she ran away from, I don't know, 4 or 5 fiancés at the altar. But she did not know what kind of eggs she liked. That was highlighted in the show. So each fiancé, when Richard Gere investigated later, was like, oh, she likes scrambled just like me. Oh, she likes sunny side up just like me. Oh, she likes this just like me.
Mhm.
And Richard Gere was like, well, that's interesting, right? Julie Roberts didn't know what she liked because she gave, oh yeah, I can eat whites. Yeah, that's mine. That's my favorite, right? I had
Yeah.
that same thing happen with fish.
Mm.
I have hated fish my whole living life.
Oh my
Found out I'm
gosh.
allergic to it, but every single man I was ever with,
Mm.
oh, my fish is different. You
Huh.
have to try my fish. You've
Oh
never
yeah.
had try it this way. You'll like it, right? And then I would gag because that's what I do. And
Right. Wow.
I gave away my power.
Hmm.
And I knew that I didn't like fish, but I didn't know how to stand up to myself. And
Mm. Ooh,
I
stand
didn't
up to
realize
yourself.
that fear
Yeah.
was stopping me from saying, I'm not eating your damn fish.
Yeah.
Fear was like, if I don't eat their fish, they won't like me. Right?
Yeah.
To know that fear is to know yourself.
Hmm.
To find and go, I'm never eating fish again. This is what I'm going to say with confidence and set a boundary and just go, I'm not eating the fish. If that's pending us getting into a relationship, I'm out.
Yeah.
right? Listen to
Yeah.
my boundaries, right? But not knowing little things like that,
Yeah.
um, it's the cost of living your life. You're
Hmm.
going to keep eating someone else's eggs. You're going to
Yeah.
keep giving away who you are. They say, "Oh, I like to ski," and you hate to ski, and you go, "Okay, I'll go skiing." Every vacation is going to be miserable,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that happens so often where we just absorb ourselves into someone else's life
Mhm.
and don't ever think about, well, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What feels good to me, you know? So it is a real loss of self and
It's
then
such a
just
loss, and it's
giving it
limiting
away.
if we give it away.
Hmm.
And a narcissist is the one who's going to steal it. They're going to
Yes.
mold you into their perfect person and have you do everything they did. That's what happened in my marriage. I became them. I vacationed with his family. I did this, I did that. Everything that was about Tracy was gone. Everything
Yeah.
Tracy needs was gone because I didn't know what Tracy needed.
Right. Yeah. Because you grew up this way. So it's just you're supposed to fold into whatever it is that's happening and just sort of get rushed off with the river instead of sitting on the banks and going, hey, wait a minute, do I even want to be in this river? And I think I want a boat. You know,
Yes.
my own boat. So it's like building your own
Mhm.
space to be in that kind of family system, which is not an easy feat.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Again, the patterns that we had with a narcissistic parent, if you had one or if you had two, you have to start to look at those things because the only way out is to know that you'll never eat fish again. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I like that.
Mm.
I don't like that. I can tolerate that. If you don't know that stuff, you're prime picking to be in a narcissistic relationship
Yeah.
because you'll freely give to others, meaning yourself and your passions, and then there'll be nothing left.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. And you just feel the weight of that, that
Mhm.
it's very weighty. And so beliefs,
Mhm.
examining your beliefs being sort of a first place to go.
Mhm.
How can someone begin to find themselves beyond that? Like, what are some other things that you suggest?
Well, I have a journal for this, which we're going to talk about later,
Good.
but I broke it down into different sections, the basics, data
Mhm.
points. That's the foundation, right? Then deeper, my beliefs and my limitations and my feelings. How do things feel, right? And
Mhm.
when people ask me, like, why do silly factoids matter? And I did this thing, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago that was challenging me to find myself. And
Mhm.
so one of the things I did was I went into my closet and I counted 50 pair of shoes. And I looked
Wow.
at them and I said, I wear like five. And why am I holding them? That was the discovery here.
Mhm.
Not that I had 50 shoes, pairs, but why am I holding them? A, they didn't even fit. I had a pair of Pradas that was like Cinderella fitting into, like an evil sister fitting into, it didn't even fit my foot. And I was like,
Wow.
why? I had them because my mother-in-law gave them to me. They were $400 shoes. Maybe I'll never have them again. Oh, fear was keeping me. That was a
Yeah.
self-discovery because of a silly factoid, right? Once I
Mm.
realized I was holding on to them,
Uh-huh.
that fear of lack. Well, what if I don't ever have the money to buy another 400 pair of shoes? But that doesn't fit you, Tracy. Why are you doing that? Like,
Mhm.
let go of things that are not important to you. But
Yeah.
that fear in that was so important because, if I'm holding on to a fear,
Yes.
I'm much more controllable, more malleable to somebody to take
Of
away.
course.
Fear of lack means, oh, you're going to give me something that'll ease that fear. I want to be who I am, right? And
Yeah.
so learning those silly facts, and I
Mhm.
did a couple more that are kind of fun to look at. TV. What do I like to watch? When I
Yeah.
was married, my husband watched Lord of the Rings about 75 times.
Uh-huh.
And I would
And
just
you
sit,
were expected to watch it with them, right? Yeah.
now I go, you know what? I'll watch that once a year or, whatever, but I'm not ever gonna sit there. If someone wants to watch it all those times, I'm gonna go do something for myself instead of
Exactly.
feeling controlled and feeling like I had to sit there and look at my iPad because I've already seen this 85 times, right?
Mhm.
So it's finding out what you like. Like I don't like horror movies because I lived in so much trauma. I don't want to be
Yeah,
scared. I
exactly. I
like,
don't want
but
to.
I
Yeah.
also learned what was my comfort. Like if I'm sick, I will sit and watch like the stupidest shows that I've seen 10 times
Yeah.
because it's certain. Tracy
Mm,
likes certainty. I
right.
didn't know that. I like to know that
Hmm.
I don't have to concentrate. If I'm sick on the couch, I don't have to concentrate and follow the plot.
Yeah.
It's just a Hallmark movie or something I've
Right.
seen. Don't need that. I didn't
And
know that.
you'll know how you feel. It's like comfort food, it's comfort show. And that's such a big piece of this is that feeling and identifying the feeling. It's like, wait a minute, that strikes terror. That strikes fear. I'm so
Mhm.
used to those, but I don't want to be those, you know?
So
Yeah.
analyzing those silly factoids, even though
Hmm.
they seem like, well, whatever. Okay, so I have a lot of shoes. Why? Ask yourself again, if you wear them all, fine. But if you're sitting there going, why am I holding on to A, B, or C? What's
Yeah.
holding it? Is it fear? Is it anxiety? Is it what's the reasons? And you can have valid and true reasons. I'm not saying we don't have those.
Hmm.
But if we're sitting there, we're being honest with ourselves, that eureka moment was in the fear of lack.
Yes.
Oh, that answered all of it. And I got rid of the shoes, right?
Yeah.
So knowing yourself is important. Like for travel was one of the other things I played with.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, you know what? I never noticed this till I was challenged to go look. And every time I get on a plane, and I fly Southwest because it's Colorado Airlines, so that's what we do. And so I always go to the same seat. Always go to the same seat,
Oh,
no matter
interesting.
what. Right. And I'm like, okay, why, Tracy? I don't
Uh-huh.
know. But I know that's what I like.
Right.
Oh, I don't need an explanation. I just know I like to be right there, boom, 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 and I'll feel safe. I don't know why, but it works. I also figured out
Yeah.
that I will always, always overpack. And
Oh,
I was
yes. I do the same thing.
again, I'm like, I've been to so many places where I had to buy a stupid sweatshirt because I was cold and I didn't bring something smartly, right? And I don't ever want to be doing that again, right? So
Yeah.
looking at that and knowing that I will overpack, a friend wanted to go to Europe and
Hmm.
we planned for a month sitting there looking at pictures, planning locations, looking at Airbnbs. We were planning the whole damn thing.
Uh-huh.
She said, I only want to carry a carry-on. Is that okay? I don't want to get stuck in the airports and have to deal with that.
You're
two
like,
two
now I'm
weeks
okay.
because I knew that I'm always going to overpack. I'm not going to carry a carry-on. And if that's going to hold you up, I'm not going to travel with you. That
Mm.
was how the old Tracy would have gone and probably cried the whole time and bought 85 sweatshirts and things I needed and a whole nother
And a
suitcase
new
to
suitcase. Yeah. Yeah.
or a duffel bag because that's better. But knowing yourself goes, that
Mhm.
sounds like a great trip. But
Yeah.
it's not the person to do it with because we have different travel styles. It's a
Right.
simple thing. It's just to know those things about you. And again, that's just the non-important stuff, right? The deeper
Yeah.
is the emotional stuff like you keep bringing up,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? What emotions am I holding on to?
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
I self-sabotage myself? How? Why? Why do I keep doing that? Ask
Hmm.
yourself more and more questions. Ask yourself about fear. Am I
Yeah.
holding guilt or shame? You know, how can I love myself? How are my boundaries?
Hmm.
Knowing where these emotions come from is gonna free you up. Again, the fear of the shoes, the fear of the lack, it's putting together your
Yeah.
whole who you are. And it's
Yeah.
not that, okay, I've got a fear of lack, but do I need all these shoes? Let's be reasonable. What would you tell your friend?
Yeah, exactly. And then the next step, I mean, I think is also just being able to um, stand up and say to your friend, hey, you
Mhm,
know what? That's not going to work for me.
mhm,
If you're okay waiting for me through customs and you do you and I do me, then great,
mhm.
you know?
You can set the boundary because you know
Exactly.
you need. So many
Yeah.
people like myself, after you've been with a narcissist, you don't even think you have a voice,
No,
right?
you really
Finding that.
don't. They they really steal that from you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Finding it's going to be key, right? And if you think about understanding what a good friend it feels like,
Yeah.
not just what a good friend is, but a good friend makes you feel X, and you
Mhm.
can resolve conflicts by B. And a good friend is there, right? So if you don't know what that is, you don't even know if you have a crappy one. So by defining it and going, this is what it feels like. Do they make me feel that way? Do they make me feel safe? Right?
Yeah.
What is it that you're looking for? And sometimes it is just a feeling of, I want to feel safe. I want to know what makes me feel unsafe. If I want to feel safe,
Mhm.
people go, I want it to feel safe. All right, well, what doesn't feel safe? I
Right.
don't know, I never wrote
Oh.
that down. Make a list, figure it out. Because if you see someone
Yeah.
doing something on your do not do list,
Mm.
no, they're not safe and they're not worthy to be in your life.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, and drawing those boundaries and it's not the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's part of the process, you know? So identifying the beliefs, identifying the emotions, beginning to speak up, ooh,
Mhm.
that can be a moment, you know?
I tell people, when they're practicing boundaries,
Mhm.
and this is just a personal preference, but going to Starbucks and asking for extra whipped cream and just being like, I really need more. Taking their extra whipped cream was an extra plop. I'm like, no, give me 2 inches. I'm more confident
Yeah.
because I know what I need and what I like. So you practice on someone at Starbucks. You practice, and again, for people with narcissistic parents that tend to be a little codependent or people pleasing. If someone drops a $50 steak on my table and it's not cooked right, I would have eaten it before.
Yes. Oh yeah. I know that one too.
Now
Yeah.
I stop and go, this is a $50 piece of meat.
Yeah.
Could you cook it medium, please? This is too well done. You get your voice back because you
Yeah.
know what you'll tolerate and you know what you won't.
And you really get your voice for the first time,
Mhm.
when you grow up like this, and then you tend to get into relationships like this. So
Mhm.
yeah. So it's a lot. So how can journaling, because I know journaling is your thing. And so how can journaling really help someone find themselves?
One of my things, right?
One of your
Um,
things. Yeah, you've
just
got so many, big
Yeah,
wealth.
I love journals. I think that I never journaled before the whole narcissistic thing, and now I'm like, it's like my best friend, and it's it. I go to therapy, but this allows me to therapize myself
Yeah.
and just go, not just to write it down. I think in the beginning, I was sort of like a diary girl. Today I went and I saw my friend, and I wasn't really going into, where did that belief come from? Why are you holding it, Tracy? How would it feel if you let that belief go? What's holding you from, letting it go, if that's it, right? How do I change myself and
Mhm.
honor myself in this situation? And and what will I do when someone doesn't respect my boundaries? Like knowing
Yeah.
those things and journaling through them. It's not
Mhm.
like, oh, well, someone doesn't listen to my boundaries. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I think I'll do this. And if they don't, I'll say this. And you sit there and you write and you plan like you're talking to a therapist and you're answering and asking yourself questions. And so I have a lot of questions in my journal that I have, but that's what we're giving away too.
Good. That'll be really great for everybody. Just the self-examination of questioning yourself. Isn't that amazing as humans that we're able to do that? It's a key thing that lets you know you're not a narcissist. If you're wondering, it's like, oh, I can self-reflect. Okay, I'm good. So,
It's just finding these little things and honoring them. Because sometimes we'll find things that might be the dark, ugly parts that we have from our childhood, but then we dissect them in the journal. We go,
yeah.
okay, when's the first time you remember feeling not good enough or not seen or not whatever? Oh, yeah, that's when my parents always said those things to me and I was not important or a priority. Okay,
Yeah.
well, how'd that make you feel then? How's it make you feel now?
Mhm.
Journal, 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 journal. Just look and open up your brain so that you are your best friend. Because by journaling, you are becoming your best friend. You're getting to know yourself and you're going, oh, I like to sit this place on the plane. Why does it matter? It's so unimportant, Tracy. Why does that matter?
Yeah.
Because I'm never giving that away again.
Mm.
Get stuck in another place on the seaplane, fine, but I still know what's my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you don't have to question every little thing in yourself either. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, it just feels right. My intuition is leading me in that direction. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Just it makes me think about how many areas of your life are up for examination when you're trying to figure out, like, wait a minute, who am I? What's my character? What's my true character versus what was installed in me
Mhm.
to think this way or think that way. There's just so many different possibilities for revealing the self.
And if we looked at the one, what makes me feel safe? What do
Mhm.
I need?
Yeah.
I don't know what makes me feel safe. What makes you feel unsafe, Tracy? Well, I can leave you a big list for that. So we do
Yeah.
the opposite, right? So
Mhm.
it's just poking into all these questions and writing them out and
Yeah.
asking yourself more questions instead of going, I like chocolate pudding. Okay, why? I don't know. Well, I like chocolate pudding because it brings back memories and this and it's always been my favorite. Whatever it is, it's okay that you like chocolate pudding, but now
Yeah.
you know, and you're never gonna say if someone doesn't want chocolate pudding. It was a dumb example, but you get what I mean,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's empowering you.
Yeah.
Stand up and go, chocolate pudding's the best. If you don't like it, that's fine, but I'm gonna eat pudding. That gives you the
Exactly.
confidence to set a boundary. Without that,
Yeah.
you're back to Julia Roberts giving away your egg choices and going,
Mhm.
oh, okay, I'll like egg whites because you do, and tomorrow I'll like that for that guy. If you don't know who you are, you'll
Yeah.
give it away.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, so these are great tips for people. I mean, these are things that I'm sure people are probably already taking notes. So, so yeah, so you do have a free gift for us. You have a journal. Can you say a little bit more about it?
Sure. So it's all the words from this journal, which is Who Am I?
Oh,
And it's really just going to set you on, can I forgive myself for this? A time I feel anger, 10 ways I relax. I'm just looking at all of the dozens and dozens of pages. Because if you do that and you start to research and really dig in,
mhm.
you're going to find yourself
Yeah,
and you're going to meet her and you're going to be so happy that somebody finally hears who she is.
that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So it's also taking it from that external transactional world of the narcissistic people in your lives, the parent and whoever else, and bringing it into the inside world, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Again, that's our power. We
Mhm.
need,
Yeah. And the very thing we were divided from.
absolutely. It doesn't matter how old you are. I truly
Mhm.
found myself probably 10 years ago. And, I was an old lady then, I'm an old lady now. But 55 years had gone by and I was Julie Roberts. Sure, you want that? Sure, I can mold. I can do that. I'll do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of going, I really want to make my digital art, my hearts. I want to do art at night. You do that. I'm going into the art room. You watch Lord of the Rings, and then we'll be happy. Instead of me feeling like a prisoner sitting there watching it over and over.
Oh, yeah. And that prisoner feeling is something you're so accustomed to when you're raised by a narcissistic parent.
Yeah.
There's multiple prisons, the one of silence, the isolation, all of the things that occur. So
Yeah.
it's really coming out of that isolation place by examining these things, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, it's empowering you to know
Mhm.
how to set boundaries. I'm not taking a carry on a European trip, but that was a boundary. I didn't
Yeah.
even know it existed till I knew and said, I always overpack. I just do.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it. And I carry it myself. No one's carrying my stuff. I can do it. That's
Yeah.
what I want to do. Leave me alone, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So this has been extremely helpful. I know people are going to get a lot out of this. Can you let people know how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. So my website is narcissistabusesupport.com. And you can find everything you need to recover from a narcissist through parental narcissism, divorce, you name it. We've got it, and we put a lot of content out there. So poke around the site. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'd love to actually talk a little bit about your upcoming book. and what you're
Mhm.
working on now, because it's another thing. I know I've dealt with this with clients, where they have adult children who are in relationship with narcissists, or they discover that their own kid is a
Mhm.
narcissist. So can you say just a little bit about your book? I'd love to hear.
Sure. So I'm writing a book. It's actually just one section in the editor left, and then it's final. But it is narcissistic daughter and son-in-laws. And
Mm.
it is about estrangement because it's becoming an epidemic, where the young people are being empowered. Of course, we know they isolate their victims, but they're doing this to really strong families. And, I work with parents, people who have narcissistic parents, and I've heard the horrible voicemails and the threats, and I've seen and I know they're evil. What's
Mm.
happening in this case is they were really strong family, right? They were so loving and caring, and then the narcissist comes and it's a threat to their control. So they start to lie about your parents. They rewrite your history. Oh, that was abuse. Oh, really? And then they become the victim. And
Yeah.
that's the important part, is the son or daughter-in-law becomes the victim of you, the parent. And so, therefore, your child has to protect them from you, the evil parent. And it is an epidemic all over the world. I've had clients in South Africa, all over the world, that are experiencing this. And again, it's epidemic at this point.
Gosh. And that's Narcissism 101, is the turning the tables,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
there's a lot on estrangement out there, but there's not a lot that factors in the difference because of a narcissist. It is different, right? Because you've got this manipulation factor that's poisoning your kid's brain.
Yeah.
And so how do you combat that? So I didn't realize how much of my clientele was parents who are in this situation, but
Wow.
now I can say it's 50 or 60%. It's
Wow.
overriding the divorce clients because it's out there, and parents are just like so helpless. I'm running groups for parents now,
Okay.
and the community, like somebody in the beginning of my last group, 8 people on the screen. We finally get to her. Everyone's doing their introductions, and she's like, I just want you to know that whatever I paid for this, I've earned it in this first half an hour of meeting you all because I thought I was alone. I thought
Oh,
my
yeah.
story was the most horrible thing, and no one I know understands it. But I finally found my people. And I don't think we have not stopped chatting all day long in that group chat. And the
Mm.
parents are just like, I got a text from my kid, and everyone else is helping them. It is such a powerful thing to not be alone in that situation. So I'm hoping my book will get out there and educate those people who are identifying. I'm not calling every estranged parent, I mean, the adult child married is a narcissist. I'm telling the people who say, "Oh, that sounds like my in-law." This is how you learn, because if you don't learn, just like in any other narcissistic situations, you don't understand that's gaslighting, that's control, that's this. You're going to be more hurt, more wounded. When you see it with the facts and you understand what's really going on, not that it makes you feel any better, but you have an explanation which you didn't have before.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's going to be incredibly useful for a lot of people, because I'm hearing it more and more as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on over to Tracy Malone and follow her. So yeah, thank you so much for being here today. This has just been a very enlightening discussion. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.